Hey guys, I know we talked about the Bloodtithe team a lot over the past months. I mentioned this time and time again. I did multiple deep dives into this, but since we talked about the Dynamo team, it's only fair to talk about the Bloodtithe team one more time. I know the relevance of this team will not be as high because people waste their resources right now onto trash, and they will be, if not completely, then almost completely broke going into the second anniversary. So therefore it would be more recommended to actually go and build the Dynamo team if you are low on resources. But again, it's very important to still talk about the Bloodtithe team, because this team will be by far the best team in the entire game for months and months to come, just as it was with the weaker version, so to speak, as the HP loss team around Semlise was the best team in the entire game for months and months, and history repeats itself right now. So it's very important to cover this one more time really quick. This team will consist of Nautica, Semlise with the Euphoria that she receives in 2.8, around Eternity's Euphoria number 1, and Medicine Pocket if you want. Let's talk about Medicine Pocket first. He is here because, as you will see when we talk about what these characters actually do and what this Bloodtithe team is all about, then there's one really important thing, and that is that you stack up a lot of, for example, damage reduction, but more if you play around a 50% HP threshold. And since Medicine Pocket does provide shields once your characters are above 50% HP, but he only starts healing once your characters fall below 50% HP. That makes it very convenient and very easy to play around this 50% threshold, which is a key part of playing this team not only effectively, but pretty much at all. You would waste so much potential that this team has if you don't play around this 50% HP threshold, and that's why Medicine Pocket is the best in slot here. Of course, while the shields that Medicine Pocket provides, they help, but you can use any healer that you want, and you don't heal unless your team falls below 50% HP, right? You can play with any healer around this 50% HP threshold by simply playing it correctly. That's why I have to mention that Medicine Pocket, if you want to replace one of the characters right here in this roster, Medicine Pocket is the only possible choice. The other three are 100% must-haves. And if you do, then you can play it with Fatutu. Generally speaking, overall, Fatutu would even be the best in slot, as she is for every single team in existence ever since she released, right? So that is no surprise. But again, remember what I told you about Medicine Pocket, and that's the character that you truly want to play in this team. Now, really quick, before we take a deeper look into all of these characters, the important thing that you have to know is that Nautica and Semlise both have the ability that whenever anyone on your team takes damage, loses HP, so to speak, then they fill the Bloodtithe. The Bloodtithe is needed for Nautica to deal her maximum amount of damage and more. We will cover this. Just wait a minute. So you will need to not be reliant for your opponents to deal damage to you. You will want to and need to, even to be fast enough and consistent enough, you will need to be able to deal damage to yourself to fill the Bloodtithe. And the only character that actually does this consistently is Eternity. So that's why Eternity is an absolute must play in this team. There's no way around it. Now, you could of course wait until version 3.0 and then put in Sentinel. Sentinel also fills the Bloodtithe, just as Eternity does, but way more. And to put it as simple as possible, Sentinel does everything that Eternity does, but much better. Heavily outclassed here, you know. The problem with it is obvious that you would turn, if you would skip Eternity, you would make Eternity become a must pull. That is heavy in investment, and that is not what you want to do. You should you would be better off sticking with Eternity, and instead of investing into the character Sentinel, you should make sure that you get your hands onto Portraits for Nautica. That will be much better for the long run. So that's about that. Now let's take a look at the individual characters a little bit more right now. And as it always is, if we're gonna take a look at the team, we start off by taking a look at the main DPS. Now, first of all, what I think a lot of people already completely forgot about is that Nautica has the most broken ability across every single turn-based combat video game of all time, and that is a revive. This revive is not even a one-time thing, but you can use it multiple. She can revive herself multiple times, given if the Bloodtithe is filled enough, which it will always be. Already giga busted. Then, whenever she takes an action, she increases her maximum amount of HP. She's a scaling truck. Every time she does something, she becomes more bulky. Then, she doesn't have Moxie, but she has something that is called Faith. And you increase this Faith by filling the Bloodtithe. Once the Bloodtithe is filled enough, you will have accumulated enough Faith, and that unlocks your ultimate. Now, her ultimate is of course also based around how much max HP she has, and also about how much the Bloodtithe is filled, because she takes the Bloodtithe and turns it into stacks. They are called living sacrifice, and the more Bloodtithe you have, the more Bloodtithe will be turned into living sacrifice stacks. The more stacks of living sacrifice you have, the more damage your ultimate will deal. So what you want to accomplish is you want to fill the Bloodtithe as fast and as much as possible, and you want to do that while you also use the incantations with Nautica a lot to increase her maximum amount of HP. Alright, now that we know about this kind of stuff, let's move on to the other characters. Oh yeah, one more thing before I forget about this. Nautica does it so that the healing she receives is increased. That is also very important. And another thing is that she stacks damage dealt and damage taken reduction for all allies, right? Keep that in mind. Now let's take a look at Semlise's Euphoria update. Remember, we need to fill the Bloodtithe as fast as possible, right? Semlise does this just as Nautica does, right? As I already mentioned it, whenever an ally loses HP, the Bloodtithe is filled. When entering battle, max HP increases for Semlise, and she grants all allies max HP equal to a percentage of her own HP. So we fill the Bloodtithe, we increase Nautica's max HP here. Then, of course, we change the effect of Fresh Blood to the following. Right before actively casting an incantation, we lose HP, we fill the Bloodtithe, and we increase critical hit rate and critical damage. Every time the Bloodtithe is filled by a certain amount, we increase our Moxie. That makes us more AP, that makes Semlise more AP friendly, and she gains her ultimate passively without even using an incantation by herself, which is very helpful, of course. And the damage that her extra action at the end of every single turn does by activating her array with her ultimate now deals a significant amount of more damage, because we do this by calculating the damage not of our attack stat, but of our max HP instead. Since we increase our max HP, that will deal a shit ton of more damage. And also our domain, the array that we create by using our ultimate, now increases the healing taken for every set percentage of our missing HP. Right? Remember what Nautica does? She gains more healing. Now she even gains additional healing. And this becomes more and more and more. The more HP we lose. That's why we play around a 50% HP threshold. Like, among other things, of course. And once, like, we will always be under this array from our ultimate. And then, if the Bloodtithe reaches a certain amount, all of our characters lose a certain percentage of their current HP, which fills the Bloodtithe even more. And before we take an action, we increase the extra action damage bonus. So Nautica also has a extra action, and of course Semlise performs an extra action at the end of every single turn. So you can see that we have everything covered. We increase crit rate and crit damage for Nautica. We fill the Bloodtithe for Nautica. We increase the max HP of Nautica. We synergize with Nautica in terms of follow-up attacks, aka extra actions, right? This is why Semlise is an absolute must-play and a partner in crime for Nautica. Alright, let's move on to Eternity. Remember that we need to be able to deal damage to ourselves. We haven't covered that one yet. At least not to a degree that would be beneficial, and this is where Eternity comes in. That is the main and core reason why Eternity is a must play. Without her, you will not be able to fill the Bloodtithe by an amount that you need. Not fast enough, not consistent enough, nothing of that. That's why you must play Eternity with her Euphoria number 1 in this team. And whenever Eternity attacks, 10% of the max HP from all allies is consumed. Every time, right? Eternity attacks. That fills the Bloodtithe like nothing else in the entire game. That's why she's here. Then of course we deal a little bit of more damage. That doesn't matter, right? All that matters is that when Eternity attacks, every single time you use an incantation on ultimate with Eternity, we fill the Bloodtithe by a crazy amount, and we make it very, very convenient to play around the 50% HP threshold, because our entire team loses 10% HP. Then when entering battle, we grant 5% of Eternity's max HP to all of our allies, aka we increase Nautica's maximum HP, which makes her deal more damage in return and of course be more sustainable and more bulky. Then at the start of the round, for every 10% missing HP on an ally, you grant them damage taken reduction minus 5%. So if you play around this 50% HP threshold, you will take 25% less damage. Throughout your entire team, every one of your team takes 25% less damage. That is in total 100% damage taken less. Plus, remember that Nautica also stacks damage taken reduction. So, all in all, your entire team will take less than half the damage that they would normally take. Absolutely insane. Right, needless to say, your entire team, the damage that is spread across your team is over 50% less. Let that sink in. Plus, you increase your maximum HP. Plus, you stack the healing, the amount of healing that your characters receive. That is bulk out of the wazoo. And of course, when an ally attacks, for every 10% missing HP the ally has, the ally gains critical hit rate and critical damage. See, remember what Nautica does and what Semlise also does. We stack critical hit rate and critical damage with all of our characters. And of course, if we play around the 50% threshold, then the excess critical hit rate that we will have guaranteed is converted to even more critical damage. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, if you let all of this sink in a little bit, you will realize why this team is the uncontested king of this game. No other team comes even remotely close with how busted all of this is. Let me count all of this out one more time really quickly. But first, to round this all up, let's take a look at the last member with Medicine Pocket and her Euphoria as well. You can see this here, what the alchemy were. What matters here is that once your allies are above 50% HP, right, they gain a shield. And this shield, how big it is based upon the healing factor. And since we increase all of our characters increase the healing factor, the amount that our characters are healed by a ridiculously high amount, the shields that our characters will receive is massive. Additionally, when you cast your debuff incantation, first of all, you lose 10% HP that fills the Bloodtithe, and you inflict critical resist rate by minus 30% and critical defense minus 40% on the target. Remember how we already stack up our crit rate and our crit damage by a significant amount. And now with this debuff, we will pretty much always crit. Not only that though, but we will deal 40% more damage with those said crits. Even more. Like, our crits will do, all in all, over double the damage that they will normally do if we play it correctly. This is unbelievable, right? It is unbelievable. And yeah, we do this of course passively, because whenever an ally is attacked, we cast this alchemy ware just like that without consuming any AP whatsoever. And yeah, that's about Medicine Pocket, right? The big thing is, yeah, he provides shields. He makes it very, very convenient to play around the 50% HP threshold. He shields, he heals, he makes our crits more likely and deal 40% more damage, which is insane. And he is AP friendly because he does cast his shield and his heals as a follow-up attack whenever an ally of ours is attacked. So incredible. Alright, so in quick succession, you play Nautica, you play Semlise, Eternity and Medicine Pocket. Medicine Pocket would in theory be replaceable by Fatutu. Then you don't necessarily have to play Eternity right out of the gate in 2.8. You can wait for 3.0 and then play Sentinel instead. That would be really, really costly, and you have to wait a month or maybe even a little bit longer to actually be able to play this Bloodtithe team. Because yeah, if you don't have Eternity, you can't play this team. This is like, it's going to be so much worse. Why even play it in the first place, right? That is not going to be worth it. And then, like, remember all of the things that this team stacks. It's all of your characters stack maximum HP. They stack damage taken reduction. They stack healing taken. They stack damage plus. They stack critical hit rate. They stack critical damage, you know? Like, to put it simply, this team stacks everything that is available in this game and even more. What other team stacks healing taken, for example? Like, no other team would ever do that. And this team synergizes around this thanks to Medicine Pocket, and all of the characters stack all of these things. This team is by far, not even close, the best team in the game. Like, nothing even scratches the surface to knock on the door or something. This team is on a whole different level. Now, what makes this, at least for me, a little bit exciting is that people will not realize that. I already see people start questioning this team, and when it's actually the team's turn, and when the Dynamo team is released and when the Bloodtithe team is released, a lot of people won't even be able to build this Bloodtithe team, because again they waste their resources on dog shit right now, and they will go broke into the second anniversary, and they will try their damnest to come up with arguments why the Dynamo team is actually better, because that is the team that they can actually build. And I can tell you what that argument will be already. It's going to be the damage output. In some cases, maybe even in a lot of cases, the Dynamo team, they will deal more damage than the Bloodtithe team. But what, again, just like they do every single time, like they do with Ezio, for example, right now, they don't see anything else but the pure damage. The monkeys see damage and think, wow, that is something that I try to get across for quite a while right now. It doesn't matter, right? So the maximum of HP that this team stacks will be disregarded. The damage taken reduction, which makes this team take less than half of the damage that any other team would take, this will be completely disregarded. The healing amount and the shielding amount and everything that this team stacks upon themselves will be completely disregarded. Only damage will be seen. And since this team here needs to stack a lot to actually provide the numbers, to actually deal the damage, and there has to be certain things to be done in order to stack everything as fast as possible and accordingly, people will misplay this team. They will never see the numbers as, again, all they look is how much damage a team deals, especially right out of the gate. We have this exact same scenario that people believe that Ezio deals more damage than Gio. Why is that? Because they play the follow-up team wrong. They do not stack the Liqueur or Herb Psycube at all. They don't see that Ezio doesn't have a viable sub DPS and you lose Pickles, which means you lose not only a follow-up attack, you lose significant buffs to your main DPS, you lose synergy across the entire team, especially with like Fatutu and Flutterpage. And this follow-up attack that Pickles does is even ridiculously insane, because it removes every single buff from 2 enemies every single turn. And since Fatutu removes the debuffs from your entire team, you have so much freedom and so much versatility in your team, but people don't see this. They see the damage number that Ezio puts out and they don't see anything else whatsoever. Plus Ezio is very, very easy to play, and it will be the same thing. The Dynamo team is much easier to play. It deals more damage right out of the gate, and that is what people see. People will be too stupid to play this Bloodtithe team to its maximum amount of efficiency, and they will disregard everything like the max HP, the damage taken reduction, the healing taken, and so on and so forth, and only see what the team does right off the gate. And this is how this team will be misjudged. This is how this team will end up heavily underestimated. And yeah, this is where I will come in, and I will become Reddit's most wanted for 2 or maybe even 3 additional days once more. I can't wait for this. This was like one of the most funniest things that ever happened to me in Reverse1999, and it will happen again. Maybe even on a more drastic scale. We will see, but it's going to be a ton of fun, and I will laugh so much about it again. I can't wait for it. And this is what this makes this entertaining, right, for the viewers as well, and what makes it exciting to talk about. So that's it for the video, guys. I hope that video was fun and informative. If you like Reverse1999 content in general, please consider leaving a follow on my channel. I would really appreciate it. But until next time, don't forget to join the Discord server, link in the description down below. Take care of yourselves, have a great day, and we love this game.